Hey guys, welcome to the channel. With the recent snowstorm here in Portland, I thought I would go through kind of everything I had in my truck. Kind of prepared me for the winter storm. As many of you know, obviously it became super snowy, super ice on the roads, and just there was a lot of cars that had to pull over on the side of the road and kind of got stuck. I-205 was shut down, I-5 was shut down, so I think it's always important to stay prepared. So I'm going to take some time today to explain what was in my truck. Okay, I wanted to pause the video and show you guys the conditions of Portland at the time of the snow to give you guys a better understanding of where the weather was and why I was prepared. So in the first clip, you can see all of the freeway traffic was basically gridlocked. At the point of the video, it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was hopping on 405 to the 26 near the tunnel. I could see that the ramp was blocked by a bunch of smaller cars that couldn't get traction by the snow and ice. Now, granted, it was just the beginning of the weather, so most of the roads were just slushy snow, but cars were still getting stuck and not prepared for the weather to change so drastically. I could see that the ramp was blocked by a bunch of cars that were sliding and sideways that were struggling with traction, so I decided to drive on the shoulder to get up to the blockage so that I could help push cars out of the way to open up a lane of traffic so that others wouldn't be stuck in traffic. In the second clip, you can see that it's showing after you come out of the 26 tunnel headed towards Beaverton. Cars were stuck on the left of the road, to the right of the road. People were just chaining up in the middle. It was basically just pure chaos. So it slowed all of the traffic down to a point where cars had to weave in and out of the stuck traffic. And in the final clips, you can see just those are my commutes to work roughly at 5 o'clock in the morning. This was the day after. Basically, when it was just a solid sheet of ice with a little bit of snow on it, you can see the pileup of cars and trucks and box trucks and trailers just kind of all stuck on the side of the road. This is something that's pretty common, is when people have to abandon their cars because of the snow and they just can't move, or they're stuck in a collision like that. They just abandon them and end up walking on their own, which is definitely something that's kind of scary, because Portland always has articles after snowstorms about how cars were looted and broken into, and people just take advantage of those that are in an unfortunate situation. There are just cars on the side of the road. There's a truck right here. And this is just chaos. First of all, we'll start off with the tools. I had an axe, I don't know, just in case you got to chop down some wood. I had a snow shovel. This is just a miniature one. Isn't good for like heavy lifting of, dirt and snow and ice, but it'll at least get you out of a pinch. I had 2 med kits on me. I have a third one in this backpack. This one's kind of smaller supplies. This one's kind of for more trauma care. It has some tourniquets, it has some gauze, some Israeli bandages, kind of some stuff for like heavier duty injuries. This one's kind of more minor injuries, just kind of like cuts, scratches, stuff like that. You never know what kind of like crashes you might come across, or if someone's stranded in need of help. So I have those. On the back of this one, I have some shears, as you can see there. Later on, I'll do kind of a walkthrough of these kits. But for now, it's just good to know that you had med kits. I had my snow gear, so I had some snow gloves, I had some snow boots in case I needed them, in case I had to walk around. Had some kind of heavier duty Danners, which are pretty waterproof. They're pretty heavy duty boots. Got some good grips and tractions on them. I had a bag full of clothes and kind of a thermal blanket in here. I think it's important with clothing. Well, first of all, here's that thermal blanket. And then I think with clothing, it's important to not just like bring a jacket or like bring a sweatshirt, but you got to think of your different layers of clothing. So on me, I had my personal, jeans, boots, and kind of a shirt, sweatshirt, jacket. But I had extra jackets. So I had, this one. I have kind of a larger one that would kind of go over this if I needed the extra warmth. Different base layers. So I had t-shirts, I had sweatshirts, pants, and then I had like a 30-degree like thermal shirt on. So it's important to think about your different layers of clothing when you go through, and not just to think of your outer layers, because with ice, snow, cold, when you get cold, you got to keep like your whole internal shell warm. So it starts from the base layers. You got to think if you're walking in the snow, your pants are going to get wet, your sweatshirt might get wet. If it's snowing, your head, keep that covered. So I had a beanie in here, just stuff to like keep me warm in different layers, just to keep whatever warmth I had inside. If you have to sleep in the car, obviously it gets colder in your car when you sleep. If it's overnight and stuff like that, like I had water bottles freeze in the truck. So it's important to just think about in advance, even if it's just snowing a little bit, to always be prepared. Had some toiletries in here, and just kind of backup clothes. Some extra socks is always important, stuff like that. Moving on, I had a little toolkit. I actually just did a video on this one. It's just kind of got some generic tools, some multi-tools, lighters, phone chargers, stuff like that, in case I need to start a fire or work on something. Multi-tools are good for just generic purposes, but obviously you need to think about, if I'm out in the cold, how am I going to start a fire? So I got some lighters, some fire starting stuff in there. As far as my pack goes, this is still just kind of a work in progress. This is just kind of a generic like tool grab bag, I guess. I wouldn't say it's a kit quite yet. I have a couple knives in here. This is good for like making like good fire starter out of a piece of wood, stuff like that. I have a heavier duty machete. Got a case I gotta like cut down some trees, something like that. Some brush to help start a fire. I have a garbage bag, generic purpose, just can keep your gear warm. It can keep it dry out of the weather conditions. It's just another way to carry stuff too if I gotta abandon my truck. I got an extra pair of socks in my backpack as well as my clothing kit. And then I have my med kit survival kit, which I actually just did a video on as well. On the top flap, I got plenty of batteries. I have a battery bank, kind of more the electronic stuff. I have an extra little flashlight in here. This is all on top of the flashlights, multi-tools, and knives that I have in the truck, just kind of extra backup. And then I also brought just kind of a pack of candles. Could be used as good fire starter. Could also just be used for warmth in the truck if I had to. Just kind of always got to think of those things, am I going to abandon my car? Am I going to keep it? Am I going to walk to the nearest gas station? The problem with Portland is it happens every year. Cars get abandoned on the side of the road, and then they get broken into, and people will loot them. So had I had to, abandon the truck, we definitely wanted to be prepared with that, and try to not leave as much valuables in there as possible. On the front pouch of this, I also have a little mini med kit. This is definitely nothing trauma related. This is just kind of a smaller med kit. And then I got a couple extra flashlights. You can never have enough light. And then I get super dry hands, so I had some working hands lotion in here too, just kind of in case my hands got super dry and start hurting. Lather them up with some of that stuff. It works really, really well. I know this isn't perfect. I know this isn't everything you need in a survival situation. I obviously wasn't thinking about shelter and stuff like that. There's definitely improvements that could be made on this, but this is just a little video to show you guys kind of how I stayed prepared in this snowstorm. We're supposed to get hit with it again a little bit in the next couple days. I think we're supposed to get potentially a round 2 of the snow and ice. So just remember to stay prepared. You know, pack your cars with enough supplies to last you anywhere from a couple hours to a couple days. There were plenty of people that it took them hours to get home. There were still people stuck on I-205, you know, a lot of semi-trucks. But the idea is just to, you know, stay prepared, stay safe out there. If you guys don't feel like you can drive, don't drive. Stay home and just keep yourself out of the potential dangers. So hopefully this video helps you guys kind of with ideas on how you can better prepare for snowstorms. Portland kind of always get the random snowstorms that come out of nowhere, but they tend to be snowpocalypse and shut the city down. So hopefully this little video is a quick snippet on how to improve your gear, things to add to your gear, and just how to stay safe. Stay prepared, guys. Thanks for joining.